joining us on the show at a special time today. GOP political strategist, and every now and then you see him on Fox News. It's Matt Mackowiak. Matt, good morning. How are you?
Morning, Chad. How are you?
Doing well. You're actually down in Austin at the swearing-in ceremony of Railroad Commissioner Wayne Christian, correct?
Yeah, I just stepped down and Senator Ted Cruz is a special guest, and it's a packed house, I will tell you. Standing room only. It's really the energy community, industry, and obviously there, and of course, you have a lot of grassroots leaders around the state that support Wayne Christian for Railroad Commission, so it's a good turnout.
Very cool. Let's talk a little bit about the legislative session. I guess within the last 72 hours or so, the latest buzz has been about the bathroom bill. But just overall, what are your expectations for this legislative session? What do you think will be the more controversial, and what do you think the priorities will be of this upcoming session?
Well, as we speak right now, the comptroller, Glenn Hager, is announcing the revenue estimate for the biennium, which is sort of insider language for basically telling legislators how much money they have to spend. So legislators are paying very close attention to that announcement today. Once they know how much they can spend, then they can begin to work on the budget. The budget is the only thing that our Constitution in the state of Texas is required each legislative session every other year. So I do think there's probably likely to be a little bit of a fight over the budget between the House and the Senate because we are in a little bit of a tougher budget climate with oil down the last 2 years. That has impacted, obviously, state revenues. Now, if you step back from the budget, which is not all that exciting, I think you're going to have a lot of attention on ending sanctuary cities. My expectation is Governor Abbott will make that one of his emergency items. I think it'll pass overwhelmingly in both houses, and it'll pass in the Senate early. There will be other issues, though. There's no question they're going to get a lot of attention. The bathroom bill, I think, will pass the Senate. I don't know. My sense is it's probably DOA in the House, but a little bit hard to know for sure until we see exactly what it is and what kind of negotiations occur. There will be other issues that get a lot of attention as well. To me, what's most interesting to me is I think the distance between the House and the Senate is pretty significant right now, and I think that increases the likelihood that there may be a special session over the budget, over school finance, over school choice, over some combination of perhaps those three issues.
Well, and you do see that growing divide, but at the same time, within the Senate, this is actually, the House, it looks to be the first time that Joe Straus, the House Speaker, won't have anyone running against him. I guess everyone is kind of noticing that he's got the votes, and there's no reason to oppose the Speaker when he's got the votes.
That's right, and for some grassroots activists, that's going to be a very frustrating thing to hear. But the reality is that Joe Straus is actually pretty strong within the 150 members of the Texas House. He's so strong that he's not even been able to. He's effectively been able to prevent other people from stepping up and putting a credible challenge together, and that's why tomorrow he will receive, 145 votes probably. It'll be a very small number, maybe more like 148 votes. When he's elected Speaker tomorrow, and that is a striking thing because, as you know, Chad, in the past couple cycles, the Speaker vote has been a test vote, and it has been something that has been used in primaries. I can't imagine that's going to be the case now because there's no one running against it. He might have a couple. Jonathan Stickland might be someone who could abstain and see who else might choose that. But it's really a futile effort at this point because there's no one else running. There's no one filed. No one else will be able to receive a vote. You either vote for Straus, you vote against Straus, or you abstain. And I don't even know if you can vote against Straus if there's another candidate. If there's not another candidate, so you really isolate yourself if you don't vote for the Speaker when he's unopposed.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the other big announcements today is coming at 11 a.m. I read your morning email, the Must Read Texas newsletter that comes out. I think you and I are on the same page on this, that, well, there's been some talk, mainly by newspapers, that Lieutenant Governor Patrick may challenge Greg Abbott. I'm with you. I think he's just going to announce he's running for re-election and clear the air before the session gets started.
That's right. And if you go back, Lieutenant Governor Patrick has never said anything that would ever indicate he was considering primary Governor Abbott in 2018. In fact, he's been explicit that he's running for re-election. He told Evan Smith that at the Texas Tribune Trib Live, I want to say about a year ago. He's told it to reporters over the years of the last few months. But he wants to make it, my suspicion here, my strong suspicion is he wants to make it crystal clear. There is no race for governor on the Republican side. There's no competition. Patrick and Abbott are not competing. There's a lot of chatter in Austin about that, but there's not a lot of chatter inside the Patrick team and inside the Abbott team. They both know where their bosses are and where their bosses are going to be 2 years from now. They both will not face serious primaries from what I know today. And I think they both will be overwhelming frontrunners to win general elections in Texas in 2018 for governor and lieutenant governor. So whether you like or don't like Greg Abbott and Dan Patrick, right now I think they're both in very strong political positions to remain in the jobs they're in for at least the next 2 years and probably the next 6 years.
Yeah, absolutely. Matt, I want to go ahead and get your just kind of gut reaction. The Comptroller's Office, they did release figures. Comptroller Hager saying that $104.87 billion will be available for general revenue in the next budget. The last time the legislature met, they had $113 billion to mess around with. So that's a significant drop for lawmakers, isn't it?
That's right, and that immediately makes me think of two things. The first is that you are almost certainly going to see Texas Legislature not fund border security at the same level that they did the last biennium. There's a feeling now with the Trump administration they don't need to do that, and that the feds will now finally solve the issue of border security and fund it appropriately. The second issue is, Democrats and liberals and some public education advocates have been howling about public education funding not being sufficient. With $9 billion fewer dollars for the legislature to spend, I have a really hard time imagining they're going to increase public education funding this legislative session, no matter who says what or who throws up a protest. So that is a tighter budget situation. They're going to face some difficult choices. They have to make some priorities. And obviously you're entering into a political season after the session where almost every elected official at the legislature is up for re-election. So politics enters into a session in an election cycle in a way that it doesn't in the session beforehand. So I think that we could have a combustible legislative session here. It's going to be fascinating to watch.
Matt, we're going to let you get on with your day down in Austin, and we'll visit with you again next week. Tell folks how they can sign up for that morning email and also see some of the other stuff that you're doing as well.
Yeah, thanks, Chad. I'll just mention two things. We do put out a morning a statewide email brief at mustreadtexas.com. You can sign up there. I know Chad's a subscriber. We have 4,000 subscribers across the state of Texas. I also have a podcast, a National Politics podcast, that you can find on iTunes. Subscribe there and download and review. But you can also find it at onpolitics.com.
All right, Matt, appreciate your time, and have a good day down in Austin.
Take care, Chad. Have a great week.
You too. It's Matt Mackowiak.